The original shield. The most iconic symbol in comics started as a joke between two teenagers. In 1938, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were designing their new character for Action Comics #1. They needed something on the chest. Shuster later recalled the conversation. "We said, let's put something on the front of the costume. From the beginning, we wanted to somehow use the first letter of the character's name. We thought S was perfect. Then came the joke. After we came up with it," Shuster said, "we kiddingly said, well, it's the first letter of Siegel and Shuster." The original design looked nothing like what you know today. Shuster drew a yellow police badge, almost like a sheriff's star with curved edges, containing a red S with serifs. He later explained his thinking. "Initially, I made it like a shield, a fancy little triangle with curves at the top. I had a heraldic crest in the back of my mind." That first logo appeared on the cover of Action Comics #1 in June 1938. But here's something most people don't realize. The artwork inside the comic was completely different. The interior pages showed a simpler triangular shape. From the very first issue, Superman's logo was already inconsistent. Nobody thought it mattered. Nobody expected Superman to last. The Triangle Era. For 3 years, nobody could agree on what the logo should look like. Between 1938 and 1941, Superman's chest emblem changed constantly. Sometimes it was a triangle, sometimes it was a shield. The S itself shifted shapes, sometimes curved, sometimes angular, sometimes barely legible. Colorists occasionally filled the entire thing yellow to save time. Shuster was overworked. He couldn't keep up with demand, so DC hired additional artists, including Wayne Boring, Paul Cassidy, and Leo Nowak. Each drew the logo slightly differently. There was no style guide, no brand standards, just artists trying to meet deadlines. By Superman #9 in 1940, the shield gained a large, sharp upper serif that made it more distinctive. By Action Comics #26 later that year, the first true diamond shape appeared, the five-sided pentagon that would eventually become standard. But standardization wouldn't come from comics. It would come from animation. The Fleischer Diamond. In 1941, Paramount asked Fleischer Studios to produce Superman animated shorts. The Fleischer brothers quoted $100,000 per episode, 4 times their usual rate, hoping Paramount would walk away. Paramount agreed. Those cartoons became some of the most expensive animation ever produced at that time. They also became legendary. And in the process, they standardized Superman's logo for the first time. The Fleischer animators needed consistency. They couldn't have the emblem changing shape every frame, so they locked in the diamond design. A clean 5-sided shield with a bold red S against yellow. The animators added black outlines that hadn't existed in the comics, making the symbol pop against Superman's blue chest. The cartoons aired in theaters before feature films. Millions of Americans saw them. And suddenly, the diamond shape wasn't just one option among many. It was the Superman logo. The comics followed the cartoons. By 1942, the diamond had won. The television logo. The first live-action Superman wore a brown and white emblem, because color didn't exist yet. When George Reeves starred in Adventures of Superman beginning in 1952, the show was filmed in black and white. Certain colors photographed better than others on the cameras of that era. Brown red as red, gray red as blue, white red as yellow. So Reeves wore a brown, gray, and white costume with a brown and white logo. On screen, it looked perfect. The contrast was clean. The S was legible even on small television sets. When the show switched to color filming in 1954, they finally made a proper red and yellow emblem. But most American households still only had black and white TVs, so the audience didn't notice the difference for years. The Reeves logo was slightly larger than previous versions and featured a distinctive extra curl at the bottom of the shield. It had to read clearly from across a living room on a 12-inch screen. Television forced the logo to get bolder. The Curt Swan Classic. One artist drew Superman for 3 decades, and his logo became the definitive version. Artist Curt Swan took over as the primary Superman penciler in 1955 and continued through the mid-1980s. His version of the character defined the Silver Age and Bronze Age of comics, and his logo became what most people picture when they think of Superman. Swan's S was thicker and bolder than any previous version. The curves became rounder. The negative space shrank. The overall effect was confident and powerful, a logo that belonged on the chest of the world's greatest superhero. This design dominated for over 30 years. It appeared on countless covers, merchandise, lunchboxes, and Halloween costumes. When Christopher Reeve flew across movie screens in 1978, the emblem on his chest was essentially Curt Swan's logo, rendered in 3 dimensions. But the 1978 film would change what the logo meant, not just how it looked. The House of L. Marlon Brando invented a meaning that changed Superman forever when director Richard Donner cast Marlon Brando as Jor-El for Superman. The movie, the legendary actor came with demands. He refused to memorize lines. He arrived late. He suggested playing the character like a bagel. But one of Brando's ideas actually worked. The original costume design for Jor-El featured a green tunic with an abstract pattern. Brando asked a simple question: why doesn't Jor-El wear the same symbol as his son? If Superman inherited the costume from Krypton, wouldn't his father have worn something similar? The filmmakers agreed. They put the S shield on Jor-El's chest, and suddenly, the logo wasn't just a letter anymore. It was the family crest of the House of El, a Kryptonian symbol that only coincidentally resembled an Earth letter. This single change recontextualized everything. Superman wasn't just wearing an initial, he was honoring his heritage. The S became a link between two worlds, a refugee carrying his family's symbol on a new planet. The comics wouldn't officially adopt this origin for decades, but from 1978 onward, audiences understood the logo differently. The Black Shield. When Superman died, his symbol turned to mourning. In 1992, DC Comics killed Superman. The Death of Superman storyline in Superman number 75 sold over 6 million copies. For months, the character stayed dead. When Superman returned in 1993, he emerged from a Kryptonian regeneration matrix wearing an all-black suit with a silver emblem. No red, no yellow, just black and silver. Artist John Bogdanove designed the look. The logo kept its diamond shape but lost all color, a symbol in mourning for itself. The black suit absorbed solar energy faster, helping Superman's depleted body recover. But the visual impact was pure shock value. After 55 years of red and yellow, a colorless Superman was almost unrecognizable. The black logo became shorthand for resurrection. Every time Superman returns from apparent death in any medium, comics, animation, film, the black emblem tends to follow. The electric logo. The strangest Superman experiment required the strangest symbol. In 1997, DC transformed Superman into a being of pure electrical energy. His classic powers vanished. His skin turned blue. He needed a containment suit just to hold himself together. The logo changed completely. The traditional shield was replaced by something angular and alien, sharp lines forming an abstract S that looked more like circuitry than a family crest. One version was silver and blue. Another was white, red, and black. Neither looked like any previous Superman symbol. The electric blue era lasted about a year. On April 1st, 1998, Superman's 60th anniversary, the character recombined and the classic costume returned. But the electric logo proved something important. Audiences rejected a Superman they couldn't recognize. The symbol wasn't just decoration, it was identity. The symbol of hope. In 2004, a comic finally explained what the S actually means. Mark Waid's Superman, Birthright Limited series established something the 1978 film had only implied. The S shield wasn't just the House of L's family crest, it was the Kryptonian symbol for hope. This meaning stuck. Jeff Johns confirmed it in subsequent comics. The 2013 film Man of Steel made it explicit when Jor-El tells his son directly that the symbol represents hope on Krypton. The explanation solved a problem that had nagged at Superman for decades. Why would an alien civilization use a letter from Earth's Latin alphabet? The answer: they didn't. The symbol represents a concept. It only looks like an S by coincidence. Superman. Birthright also established that the symbol's design was based on a river that wound through ancient Krypton. An image of continuous flow, of never stopping, of moving forward no matter what obstacles appear. Hope that keeps moving. That's what the logo means now. The Kingdom Come shield. Alex Ross painted the future of Superman, and it looked like the past. The 1996 graphic novel Kingdom Come imagined Superman 20 years in the future. Older, weathered, gray at his temples. He had watched the Joker murder Lois Lane and everyone at the Daily Planet. He withdrew from humanity for a decade. When this Superman returned, he wore a modified emblem. Artist Alex Ross made the shield larger and bolder than ever before, dominating the chest. The colors deepened. The design deliberately echoed Joe Shuster's original 1938 artwork and the Fleischer cartoons of the 1940s, a return to roots for a character who had lost his way. Ross painted Superman with the texture of real fabric rather than flat comic colors. The logo looked like it belonged on a Renaissance portrait of a god. The Kingdom Come shield influenced live-action decades later. Brandon Routh wore a version in the Arrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. Elements appeared in David Corenswet's 2025 costume. When filmmakers want Superman to look mythic, they reach for Alex Ross. The Soviet shield. What if Superman landed in Ukraine instead of Kansas? Mark Millar's 2003 graphic novel Superman, Red Sun answered that question. In this alternate history, Kal-El's rocket lands on a Soviet collective farm. He grows up serving Joseph Stalin. He becomes a weapon of the state. The logo changed accordingly. Artist Dave Johnson replaced the S with a hammer and sickle inside the familiar diamond shape. The yellow became pale. The red became Soviet crimson. The whole design looked like propaganda plastered on a Moscow building. Red Sun proved that Superman's symbol carries meaning beyond the character himself. Change the emblem, and you change everything Superman stands for. The diamond shape remained, but what it contained told a completely different story. The alien shield. Man of Steel made the logo look like it came from another planet. Zack Snyder's 2013 film redesigned Superman's emblem to feel genuinely extraterrestrial. Costume designers James Acheson and Michael Wilkinson gave the shield texture, a chainmail-like pattern that suggested advanced Kryptonian technology rather than Kansas farm cloth. The S itself became more angular. The serifs sharpened. The overall effect was colder and more alien than any previous version. This wasn't a symbol sewn by Martha Kent. This was something from another world entirely. The film made the logo's Kryptonian meaning explicit. What's the S stand for? Lois Lane asks. It's not an S, Superman replies. On my world, it means hope. That exchange, lifted directly from Superman, Birthright, cemented the modern understanding of the symbol. The S isn't a letter. It never was. The 2025 Shield. James Gunn's Superman brings the logo full circle. For the 2025 film Superman, director James Gunn drew inspiration from Kingdom Come. Early promotional images showed an angular, almost Art Deco version of the shield, a design that looks ancient and futuristic simultaneously. The choice makes sense. Gunn's Superman is young and optimistic, but the logo connects him to decades of history. It looks like something that could have appeared in 1938 and something that belongs in 2025. The trunks returned to the costume. The colors brightened, and the shield sat at the center of it all, still a diamond, still containing something that looks like an S, still meaning hope after 87 years. Two teenagers in Cleveland created this symbol as a joke about their own initials. It became the most recognized superhero emblem in the world. It has represented a letter, a family, a planet, and an idea. It started as an S for Superman. Now it means something more.